Now, for a short time this week, MPs considered breaking up for their summer holidays early. The plan was eventually dropped and widely seen as an underhand attempt by the government to limit the amount of time for backbenchers to plot against Theresa May. But fear not, there'll be no slacking or early holidays on the pledge. After all, I need all the time I can get for my campaign to get Greg kicked off the show. Coming up, Afua says immigration was the true winner in the World Cup. Majid urges caution over designer babies. Greg is on an anti-Trump crusade again. And Michelle says, hands off my sausages. But first, it's me. She's done it. She's only blooming well gone and done it. Showing she boasts the hide of a rhinoceros, the ability of the steeliest penalty shootout side, and the cunning of the rattiest of the Love Island love rats, Prime Minister Theresa May seems able to pack the walking boots for her summer holes. Surrounded by her own Conservative MPs, many of whom are revolting in every sense of the word, Mother Theresa must have enjoyed a holy intervention to limp over the line. But now is the time, Prime Minister, to react to your very own May Day. You have presided over and sanctioned months of pitiful indecision. When you return, seize the moment, shrug off the, quotes, fog of self-doubt and miserable permanent limbo Boris Johnson speaks of, and extol a vision of a Brexit which makes us all yearn rather than yawn. We pay 650 MPs a minimum of £77,000 a year. Is it too much to ask you, Prime Minister, to lead them to divine a solution to all of this? Otherwise, what precisely do we pay for?
Well, it's a very, very difficult position she's in, surely. I mean, whatever she does, she's going to face opposition. And a while back, I think, on this show as well as elsewhere, I've said that ultimately, I think what's going to happen is that the hard Brexiteers will be dissatisfied with whatever she proposes, and of course we Remainers will be dissatisfied with whatever she proposes, and we'll end up in this kind of unholy alliance together opposing her measures, which could lead to a vote, whether in Parliament or a people's vote. But I do think ultimately it's the most unenviable job that anyone could have at the moment, and it could be the reason why she hasn't been toppled, because no one else wants to be in that position, surely. I
think that's a fair point. Do you know, Greg, as I watched Boris Johnson's resignation speech, I remember something you said on the pledge some weeks ago, but none of the real Brexiters have ever sold a vision. They've never told us where we're going to go. And I've been struck by that by Mrs May, and I was struck again by Boris Johnson. We still haven't had any... And that's what I'm saying. Get some... And indeed, it's reported that she's going on a nationwide tour where she wants to reconnect with... She's got to sell a vision, doesn't she?
Well, it's a very strange thing for me to say, but I have some sympathy with her, actually. I came to the conclusion this week, she has got a job that you can't do. It's not doable.
No, you can't do it.
It's not doable. Therefore, there is no solution she could come up with that is going to get through the House of Commons. Just, there isn't one. And therefore...
Where does that leave us, Greg?
A second vote.
Well, where does it leave us? I mean, in the end, the choice is going to be, I suspect, no Brexit or crash out.
No Brexit won't go down well, Greg.
Well, neither will crashing out, let me tell you. And I think that's probably why I agree with you. In the end, you'll have some sort of second vote, because you won't get either of those through the House of Commons as it sits. So either you go to a general election, in which case you'll get Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party, I suspect, because, you know, you see the swing against the Tories this week is enormous, isn't it? You know. Or you've got to have another vote. You either have a general election or another vote.
Michelle?
Well, as I say, Parliament won't be able to decide.
Yeah, but
because there's not a majority.
Another vote for what? You want to redo the Brexit referendum?
No, I think you say to them, look, this is where we've got to. We can't decide. You decide. You can have another vote on either crashing out or we remain in.
Shall we... Look, you've mentioned Boris Johnson's speech. Shall we have a quick look at some of the things that he said?
In important ways, this is Bino or Brino or Brexit in name only. But let us, again, aim explicitly for that glorious vision of Lancaster House, a strong, independent, self-governing Britain that is genuinely open to the world, not the miserable, permanent limbo of Chequers. It is not too late to save Brexit.
See, you've mentioned as well a swing away from the Tories, and when you look at where a lot of that swing is going to, it's going towards UKIP, which to me reinforces the fact that most Brexiteers, certainly every Brexiteer that I've ever spoken to, doesn't regret their vote. They've not sat here now and gone, oh, if only I could rewind time back to 2 years, I would have voted differently. I actually think people's resolve has gotten stronger in favour of Brexit recently. I don't think
the polls show that.
Well,
it's not a massive shift, but I don't think the polls show that.
Afua, let's get you in on this. There was a fantastic piece written by a former speechwriter for David Cameron, Claire Foges, in one of the papers, in which she talked about, and I actually agree with this, it doesn't matter whether you supported Tony Blair, but he could sell a vision, whether you supported Margaret Thatcher, she could. David Cameron, you know where I'm going. I don't actually agree with what Boris Johnson says. I don't think there's ever been a vision, Lancaster Gate or anywhere else, from Mrs May as regards this. What do you say?
I mean, I agree. I think we are, I've said this so many times on the show, we are lacking leadership. We're lacking leadership that's credible, that people can really get behind. That's why Corbyn did well, but on this, he's also weak. And I think, you know, the only person who seems to have a vision at the moment, and I hate to say it, is Jacob Rees-Mogg, and that's why he is essentially running the show.
That's a good point.
He is running the show, and this is not representative either of voters or of Parliament. There is a small, hardcore group of Brexiteer hardliners who've hijacked this process, and I also feel sorry for Theresa May. She's being held hostage by them. I don't personally think she's managed it brilliantly, but it is a difficult situation. But I think we all need to take a step back and rationally appraise the situation. The vision of Jacob Rees-Mogg is not a vision we all need to or have agreed to sign up to, and I think that's clearly evident in the House of Commons. Look at the body language of MPs when Boris Johnson was speaking. He surrounded himself by this hardcore group of Brexiteers, but the majority of the House have lost any credibility that he once had as being shot. And they are equally disillusioned by what's happening. I just want to quickly show you, when that vote was won this week, the reaction of MPs, because everything is on a knife edge right now.
The ayes to the right, 305. The noes to the left, 302.
The atmosphere is so unpredictable and tense, and nobody knows which way anything is going. And that is not a way to run policy, but it's certainly not a way to conduct negotiations. We cannot achieve anything.
Majid, a good point. Just come to you in a minute, but good point Afua makes about Rees-Mogg has got a vision. I doubt that you buy into it, but that's probably why he's getting so much attention.
I think it's worth noting, by the way, two Lib Dem leader and former Lib Dem leader missed that.
That was
yes.
Yes, on the issue of Jacob Rees-Mogg and vision, of course, Anna Soubry has been opposing Rees-Mogg and has her own vision. Let's listen to what she had to say.
And I'll take the honourable gentleman's intervention.
I knew Margaret Thatcher. I worked for Margaret Thatcher. My honourable friend ain't no Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, pathetic. Is that the best you can do?
In addition to the debate.
Can I can I say to my right honourable friend, I don't pretend to be able to walk in Margaret Thatcher's boots. Nobody voted to be poorer, and nobody voted leave on the basis that somebody with a gold-plated pension and inherited wealth would take their job away from them. I'll give way.
Preach, sister.
That's powerful. So I just want to say at this stage,
you don't need an opposition, do you? They do it themselves.
I think we've got to a stage where, and it's also in response to what you were saying, Michelle, I think we've got to a stage where it doesn't matter how passionately we feel about Remain or Brexit. It actually is right now down to what the practical way forward is. And actually, practically, I don't see any way forward, because you can be, or you or anyone, can be so passionate for wanting Brexit, and you've got some Remainiacs out there as well who are almost like militant in there. But it doesn't mean anything, because it won't. Whatever we propose will not get through.
So it's a no deal.
Well, so it's what Greg said.
It's what Greg said.
Yeah, it's going to either be no deal or we stay in, and it's going to have to either be a vote in Parliament or a vote by the people. It's the only practical way forward.
But I think there's a huge appetite now, and I know you will all disagree with me probably, but there is an appetite now for almost like a Trump-style negotiation,
But that's no deal.
But more, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, and I think there's
but they'll say, fine, we'll have no deal.
Yeah.
What would Trump achieve, though? What does that achieve in a negotiation, as delicately poised?
But I think that you can't go into a negotiation if you're not truly willing to walk away. I think how, you know, I mean, you've done business deals and negotiations your whole life. How can you go into a negotiation if you're truly not able to say, do you know what?
But hang on.
We need to leave.
This negotiation, you haven't got anywhere to go. You've only got no deal. That's your only negotiation. Last week, when we discussed this, I mean, and obviously...
Do you think no deal would be terrible?
I think the danger is too great. But I'd be interested in what Nick thinks, because last week you said you thought no deal would be a disaster, didn't you?
Well, I think the pound would take a hell of a hammering.
Yeah, you're someone who voted.
Temporarily.
You're someone who voted out. Would you change your vote if it was a no deal choice?
No, I was a reluctant Brexiteer, and I'm still a reluctant Brexiteer. And if it is no deal, so be a no deal. And I think we just got to batten down the hatches for the pound.
But surely this is the difference between your scenario, Michelle, of a business negotiation. The difference for me with this and a business negotiation is that the stakes in this are the economic prosperity of the nation. You know, you can't just walk away from something that could mean jobs, the currency, investment, a mainstay of the economy. It's just not something you can just kind of throw up in the air.
But I believe there was always going to be the risk of a short to medium term effect of this, and I still stand by that. But I don't believe that long term. So you talk about currency crashing.
Yes.
Of course, there is a strong possibility that that would happen, but I think that would be a short term situation that would resolve itself. And I've got to say, Boris Johnson is, for me, the only person that's ever had any consistent positivity in terms of having faith in ourselves and what we could create and what that would look like.
That's all bullshit.
That's crap. Did you read his This
is a man who chose at the last moment which way he was going to go. He didn't have a vision. It was all about Boris.
But why is having faith and positivity in your country BS?
He doesn't have faith.
He has faith in himself.
He has faith and positivity about Boris Johnson. No one else.
Do you have positivity? You was like me. You was on the fence, and then you swung Brexit. You was very similar to me.
Yeah,
but do you have faith that actually everything could be OK in the long term?
It's going to be far more difficult than I think it was, but I do think Britain will probably pull itself through, yes.